Leo soul, today August 19 is not just another day on the calendar. It is a divine turning point, a spiritual ignition point that only a rare few will be able to recognize for what it truly is, a moment that changes everything. Have you ever felt like the universe was quietly watching you? Not judging you, not rushing you, just waiting? If so, this is the day it has been waiting for. Because today, something is shifting on your behalf. You didn't stumble across this video by chance. You were led here because your soul is in alignment with a specific frequency that is active right now, and this frequency is speaking directly to Leo energy. In spiritual terms, this is a destiny-activated day. One of those rare energetic openings where the heavens make contact with the deepest parts of you, not through noise, but through stillness. The kind of stillness where something inside whispers, "Pay attention." And if you've been feeling lately like you're not quite fitting in where you used to, like certain people, routines, or even identities are falling away, it's because you're already crossing the threshold into this new timeline. August 19th holds what I call a breakthrough signature. This energy doesn't always show up in the form of fireworks or dramatic announcements. More often, it arrives quietly, disguised as a moment of clarity, an unexpected opportunity, or a sudden internal knowing that says, everything is about to change. Leo, this message is specifically for you because your ruling planet, the Sun, is vibrating at its peak. Your inner light, the essence of who you truly are, is being called to rise without apology. The universe is handing you the pen and saying, write the life you were born for. And yes, only 1% will notice what's happening today. Not because the rest are less worthy, but because most aren't paying attention. But you are. You're here. You've been sensing something for days, maybe weeks. A restlessness. A tug. A knowing. That's your soul preparing for the alignment that is finally arriving now. So pause with me for a moment. Let that sink in. You don't need to rush past this. The fact that you're listening right now is proof that the seeds you've been planting in silence are finally ready to bloom. The faith you've kept, even when there were no signs, has created space for this blessing to arrive. And Leo, you are not just receiving something today, you are remembering something, who you truly are, and why you never gave up. Before we continue, take a moment to anchor this moment with intention. Go to the comments and write, I am ready to receive the breakthrough meant for me today. Because saying it out loud or typing it with presence is a signal to the universe that you are not just passing by. You are participating. Let me take a moment to say thank you. Your presence here, your energy, your belief, it is not taken for granted. Every comment, every like, every time you choose to subscribe to this space, you are helping eternal mindfulness grow into a place where truth, healing, and divine timing meet. And believe me, Leo, what the universe is about to reveal today is nothing short of sacred. So stay with me until the end of this message, because what's unfolding now will stay with you for the rest of your life. There is something quietly sacred about this moment in time, Leo. August 19th isn't just a date, it's a frequency, a threshold, a whispered invitation for you to rise into who you were always meant to become. And when we look deeper through the lens of astrology, numerology, and energetic cycles, it becomes clear why today carries such profound potential for your transformation. In astrology, the Sun governs Leo. It is your ruling luminary, the very essence of your energy, your radiance, your leadership, and your unapologetic presence. And today, the sun does more than shine-night aligns. It crosses a divine axis, Leo Aquarius. This isn't just about light anymore. It's about where that light belongs. You see, Leo is the sign of the self, the fire that says, I am. But Aquarius is the sign of the collective, the vision that asks, how can I serve? Today, you're standing at the intersection of those truths. You are being called not just to shine for your own sake, but to illuminate a path for others through the truth of your authenticity. The world doesn't need a perfect version of you. It needs the real you, now more than ever. But there's more. The numbers themselves are speaking. 1 + 9 + 8 = 18, and 1 + 8 gives us the sacred number 9, a number of endings, closures, and quiet completions. But also, 19 stands alone as the number of divine mission. Those with 19 in their soul path are born not to follow, but to lead. Not from a place of ego, but from calling. If you've been feeling lost recently, disconnected from your passions, or uncertain about the direction you're headed, it's not failure. It's not depression. It's not emptiness. It's preparation. And that stillness you've been sitting in? That strange silence? That's not nothingness. That's alignment. What you're experiencing, Leo, is what I call spiritual recalibration. You are not being punished, you are being refined. You are not broken, you are being repositioned. The spaces, relationships, goals, and identities that no longer feel alive for you are gently being dissolved, not to leave you lonely, but to make room for what your soul truly needs. This is what happens before elevation. Just like the pruning of a tree before it bears fruit, your spirit has been shedding the unnecessary so that you can rise without extra weight. In the same way a diamond is formed under pressure and darkness before it reflects the light, your soul has undergone a deep, internal shaping. And now, with the energy of August 19th, you are stepping out of the hidden chamber and into the field of purpose. You're not the same person you were weeks ago. And the world, though it may not see it yet, will soon feel it. From a healing perspective, moments like this are what I call emotional reset points. These are the times when heaven and earth seem to meet in your heart. The ache, the delay, the confusion, it all begins to make sense. And if we draw from the wisdom of Scripture, we're reminded that stillness is never absent, sites where faith is formed. Be still and know. That is the invitation. Today is not about striving. It's about listening. Receiving. Surrendering to the truth that your life is not random, and your pain has not been wasted. You didn't miss your moment, Leo. You were being prepared for it. And today, the divine switch has flipped. The signal is clear. The old has done its work. The new has arrived. You are no longer waiting, you are stepping. Not into something you've never known, but into something your soul has always remembered. And this is the day it begins. There are moments in life that don't come with fanfare or grand announcements, but still hold within them the weight of divine orchestration. And today, Leo, you've stepped into one of those moments. This isn't a day that will necessarily roar like thunder, it may arrive instead like a soft breeze on the back of your neck, like the quiet realization that the path you've been walking is no longer leading you in circles, but forward. When we speak of miracles, we often expect them to be loud, visible, undeniable. But true spiritual shifts, those that change you from the inside out, are often the most silent, and yet the most profound. The kind that make your soul whisper, "This is it." This is why today requires a different kind of awareness. Not the kind that looks outward for signs, but the kind that listens inward for resonance. The shift is already in motion. You don't need to chase it, you only need to notice it. It might be a phone call, yes. Or it might be the feeling that you're no longer waiting for someone to tell you who you are. It might be an invitation from a friend, or a stranger's words that stir something deep and forgotten within you. And it might come in stillness, a sacred pause in your day where you suddenly realize, you don't feel the same. You don't want the same things. You don't even dream the same way. That is how the miracle unfolds. Gently, but completely. The tarot archetypes that surface today, the star and the fool, tell the deeper story of what's at play. The star is not about spectacle. It's about quiet hope, reborn in the ashes of exhaustion. It's the glow that returns after a long darkness. It says, you are healing, and the light hasn't left you, it's just been resting. The fool, on the other hand, is the brave leap that follows the renewal. It's not foolishness. It's trust. It's the moment you let go of everything you thought you needed to carry and walk forward anyway, empty-handed and wide-hearted. This is the sacred dance between letting go and leaping forward, between release and readiness. You see, there is a design here, Leo. One that doesn't ask you to understand everything before you move, but simply to respond with openness. You are not meant to control the timing, the form, or the magnitude of what's coming. You are only meant to make space for it. That space is carved not with logic, but with trust. Not with control, but with surrender. And in that space, the miracle you didn't see coming becomes possible. In emotional healing work, this is what we call an invitation to receptivity. It's the moment when we stop bracing for disappointment and start softening to surprise. That's when the nervous system calms, when the breath deepens, when the eyes begin to notice beauty again. In self-help therapy, we know this as the shift from survival to expansion, from just getting through the day to being available for joy. And joy, Leo, is what's returning to your field today. Quiet, sincere, surprising joy. You don't need to do more. You don't need to prove anything. You simply need to be present enough to recognize the gift that is already approaching you. So right now, if you feel that tug in your chest or the soft buzz in your fingertips, it's not your imagination. It's energy aligning. Take a breath. Anchor this moment. And if it feels right, write it down in the comments below. I am ready to receive the unexpected with an open heart and gratitude. Because sometimes, that small declaration is what opens the floodgates for everything else to arrive. There's something profoundly sacred about holding on to light when no one is watching, and even more so when there is no sign that anything is changing. Leo, this part of your journey is not about receiving, it's about becoming. It's about who you have chosen to be, especially when the world gave you no evidence that your efforts, prayers, or inner work were making any visible difference. The truth is, most people give up right before the breakthrough. Not because they're weak, but because our culture has trained us to chase results, not to trust in the invisible. But you stayed. You stayed faithful to your vision. You kept nurturing your heart, even when it was tired. You showed up to your rituals, your inner dialogue, your healing work, not because someone told you it would pay off instantly, but because you sensed something sacred was being built in the silence. That sense? It wasn't wrong. It was preparation. It was energy organizing itself on your behalf, and what seemed like delay was actually divine calibration. In the world of energetic frequency and the law of attraction, there's a concept known as holding the vibration. It means maintaining alignment with the future you desire even when the outer world gives you no validation. It's the ability to feel abundance when the bank account is empty, to feel lovable when you're alone, to feel chosen when no one is calling your name. Most cannot stay in this space for long. It takes enormous strength to remain in vibration without evidence. And that's exactly why only 1% walk through the gates when they finally open, because only 1% were still standing there, patiently aligned, when the moment arrived. There's a quiet kind of courage in choosing not to abandon your soul when the world goes silent. You didn't need applause. You didn't demand proof. You stayed close to your inner knowing, and today, that steadfastness is being recognized. Not by people. Not by external rewards. But by the energy of life itself. And when life sees you aligned, truly aligned, not just in behavior but in heart, it begins to move toward you. Not slowly. Not subtly. But powerfully, all at once. In emotional healing work, we talk about resilience beyond visibility. It's the act of keeping the door of hope cracked open, even when you're tired of waiting. It's allowing yourself to believe, not because it's easy, but because it's what keeps you alive. People often think breakthroughs come to those who fight the hardest. But spiritually speaking, they come to those who are willing to trust the deepest. Because trust keeps you in position. Trust lets you rest while still believing. Trust keeps your frequency steady enough to receive without having to chase. So ask yourself now, from a place of honesty and compassion, have I stayed loyal to my higher self when no one else was watching? Have I nourished the version of me that's still in becoming, even when I couldn't see the results? If the answer is yes, then here is your moment. This is your return. You didn't pass the test because someone gave you the answers. You passed because you never stopped showing up. And that is what opens the gate. Not hustle. Not noise. But sacred, consistent belief. Let this be your confirmation. You don't need permission to feel worthy. You don't need signs to know you're close. The truth is, you've already arrived. Now allow life to mirror back everything you've quietly been becoming. And if this resonates deeply in your soul, write this in the comments: I stayed. I believed. I am ready to receive what's always been mine. Because sometimes, the smallest act of acknowledgement is what calls the miracle forward. When you reach the threshold of your next chapter, it rarely looks like a finish line. More often, it feels like a quiet knowing in your chest, a soft release of old tension, or a breath that lands deeper than usual. Leo, what's unfolding for you now isn't a dramatic shift, it's a gentle return. A return to the essence of who you are beneath all the masks, expectations, and stories you've carried to survive. And yes, the door is opening, but not to a new version of who the world wants you to be. It's opening to the most authentic version of you that's been waiting patiently underneath it all. There is a subtle yet powerful truth that comes into focus when you're called to step forward. And that truth is this: becoming who you truly are often requires unbecoming everything you were taught to be. You may have spent years contorting yourself to fit someone else's idea of success, playing roles just to feel accepted, or chasing dreams that once served you but no longer reflect your evolution. But today, you're invited to lay those down not with shame, but with gratitude. They helped you survive. But they are not meant to come with you where you're going. In astrology, Leo is ruled by the sun symbol of light, identity, and self-expression. That means your soul journey is deeply tied to radiance and personal truth. But radiance isn't performance. It's alignment. It's no longer pretending to be bright, to please others. It's becoming the light that warms from within. And the moment you stop trying to prove yourself, that's when your energy begins to expand naturally, drawing in what was always meant to find you. Energy work teaches us that nothing can flow through a constricted vessel. That includes blessings, clarity, opportunities, and love. So when we release the need to play roles, to earn our worth, or to carry emotional identities that no longer resonate, we don't lose who we are. We create space for the truth to emerge. And Leo, your truth is not loud because it has to bite. It's loud because it's alive. It wants to breathe. And the only way to let it speak is to give it room. Think of this moment as the blank page after a long chapter. Not because what came before wasn't valuable, it was. But now, you are the author again. And the only way to write this next part of your life is from your real voice, not the one shaped by fear or approval seeking. That's why today isn't about striving. It's about slowing down. Listening inward. Choosing peace over pressure. Presence over perfection. In emotional healing and trauma work, we often talk about the nervous system's need for safety. And nothing creates that safety more than alignment. When your choices, values, environment, and inner truth match, you feel safe, even in the unknown. You begin to trust your own yes and honor your sacred no. That's the foundation of real freedom. Not doing everything. Not being everywhere. But having the courage to simply be without apology. This is your permission slip to rest in that space. To write your story in a new tone. To redefine success by how well you sleep, how grounded you feel, how fully you show up in your relationships. To move through life not as someone chasing light, but as someone who is light. And if this moment resonates deeply, let it be more than a fleeting feeling. Let it become a declaration. Write in the comments, I release the old roles. I am ready to live as myself. Because that's what this doorway leads to, not a destination, but a deeper embodiment of everything you've always been. And now, you're finally ready to let the world see it. There's a kind of reward that doesn't come in the form of a paycheck, applause, or a big announcement. It comes in the form of a quiet exhale. A still moment when you realize, you're no longer pretending. You're no longer performing. You're finally living as who you truly are. Leo, today's blessing is not just about material gain, it's about the return to your inner authority, the ability to live your truth without needing permission. And that is one of the rarest forms of freedom we ever get to taste. When we talk about abundance in the language of energy, we're not just talking about the flow of money, we're talking about the flow of alignment. The way your choices, your values, and your soul begin to walk in the same direction. And when that happens, prosperity no longer feels like something you have to earn. It becomes something you embody. You no longer chase success to prove your worth, you allow it to rise from your wholeness. Today, you're not just being handed a breakthrough. you're being invited to take ownership of a new way of being. It starts small, in the details. Like how you nourish your body. When you choose to reduce sugar and increase greens, it's not just about health, it's about respect. It's the unspoken signal to your entire energetic system that says, I am worth caring for. You're not punishing your body into discipline, softening it into receptivity. Even your breath is a bridge. 3 minutes of intentional breathing in the morning is a simple, sacred act. It clears the static. It steadies your field. And it tells your nervous system, I am safe here. I don't have to fight the day, I can meet it with presence. The best energy practices are often the quietest ones. They don't need to be complex. They just need to be consistent. Financially, today calls you into conscious stewardship. Not just managing your money but honoring its purpose. Spend to support your aliveness, not to cover up emptiness. Invest in what expands you, whether it's an experience, a space, or a skill. Money is energy, and when you circulate it with intention, it multiplies. But when you spend it to fill a void, it disappears into silence. You are not here to survive off scraps, you are here to create value and live with intention. And in love, this is your invitation to show up not as someone who needs to be needed, but as someone who chooses to give from fullness. To love without possession. To support without control. Because when love becomes a transaction of dependency, it shrinks. But when love becomes a space where both people are free to be, it grows into something sacred. The colors surrounding you today, royal gold and soft coral, carry deep symbolic frequency. Gold is the color of inner mastery, the knowing that you are your own source of strength. Coral is the color of gentle empowerment, strength that doesn't roar, but hums confidently through your actions and presence. Together, they form a palette of personal power that is both visible and subtle. It reminds you that your light is not something you have to force. It's something you simply need to stop dimming. Numerologically, the numbers of the day echo this very message. The number 1 reminds you to lead from within. The number 9 signals the closing of a long chapter. And the number 19 is the archetype of destiny itself. It's the light of those who rise, not to dominate, but to guide. Not to impress, but to embody. And today, Leo, you are standing in that light. If this speaks to your heart, let it land. Let it sink in. And when you're ready, write this in the comments: I claim the quiet power of being myself. Because this is the gift. This is the reward. Not the gold itself, but the realization that you already are the gold. Leo, if you've made it here, if your heart is still listening, then take a breath and know, today is not just another day. This is not a coincidence. This is the gentle unfolding of a divine appointment that your soul agreed to long before you clicked play. What you've heard today is more than a message, it's an activation. A remembering. A mirror held up to remind you that transformation doesn't begin with massive action. It begins with presence. With awareness. With the decision to step into your next chapter, even if your hands are still shaking. You don't need all the answers right now. You don't need to wait until you're fully ready. You just need to start. That's the power of this moment. That's the switch only you can flip. No one else can write the next chapter of your story. No one else can claim your alignment, your healing, or your joy. But you can. And you're more prepared than you realize. So let me ask you, what would happen if you stopped waiting to be chosen and decided to choose yourself? What might shift if you trusted your timing instead of comparing your journey? What would it feel like to release the old roles you've outgrown and walk into the life that truly fits your spirit? Today is not about chasing miracles outside of yourself. Today is about unlocking the one already living inside of you. Your light was never lost, Leo. It was simply buried beneath expectations, pressure, and self-doubt. But now, the path is clearing. Now, the energy is aligned. You don't have to force the change, you only need to say yes to it. This is your divine permission to begin again, not from scratch, but from wisdom. You've done the work. You've walked through the shadows. You've kept the faith when no one else saw what you were building. That is what makes you ready. That is why the shift today belongs to you. If this journey has touched something deep in your heart, I invite you to anchor it in your own way. Go to the comments and write, "I am ready to receive the destiny that's been waiting for me." Because sometimes, just the act of declaring our readiness is enough to open the door. And if you feel even a flicker of clarity, courage, or calm from what you've received today, don't keep it to yourself. Share this message. Like it. Subscribe to Eternal Mindfulness. Every gesture of support helps this space remain a sacred home for those who are awakening, just like you. Your energy here is not only seen, it is deeply appreciated. Thank you, truly, for choosing to be here. Thank you for listening, for feeling, and for opening your heart to what the universe is offering you today. You are not just walking a path, you are creating one. And the light you carry has the power to guide others. So walk forward, Leo, not with hesitation but with quiet conviction. The switch is yours to flip. The timing is now. And the life you've been waiting for is already waiting for you.